June 2021 tarehe 7 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2021. Natumai kwamba uko salama and you had a very great weekend. We'll last saw you on Friday, lakini karibu tena on the Monday edition of Life and Money as a common sense edition with Captain Collins Wanderi. Na pia leo tuko na mgeni Charity KIHIKA, Mrs. Charity KIHIKA. Najua nitaweza kosea kwanza vizuri. Mrs. Charity KIHIKA ni counseling psychologist. She's joining us this morning so that we can debunk more the conversation that we've been having on relationships and money. Relationships na money. Pia kujua vipi watu wanaweza kaa kwa ndoa, lakini ndoa siku hizi zimeadimika. Millennials are refusing to get married. Anyway, you're going to have that discussion as you join in. This is the tackle begins now. Lakini kama kawaida, natumai ya kwamba uko salama na tunaenda kwanza na maombi, alafu tukirudi na kuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Bodeni kidogo tumechelewa leo kwa dakika 10 ama 15, but we're going to start off straight away so that we can start having this conversation. If there's any questions that you want to ask or anything that you want us to discuss, please you can send in on your comment section. Unaweza weka comment hapo swali lako, alafu tuweze kuzungumzia. From children, here we talk about children where Captain Collins calls them issues. When here Captain Collins when they talk about issues, it's children. Issues. Children here referred as issues. So if you have any issues to do with children, relationships and money, we can always have that discussion with you. But kabla ya hiyo, acha tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi na kuja kuwasalimia hapo kwenye comments zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive this morning. We thank you for a new week. We thank you for a new day. We thank you for everything you've given our hands to do as we go out and work. We pray that you may be able to bless the work of our hands. Even as tacklers join in, may you meet them at their point of individual needs. As we start having this conversation, may it be able to edify and expand our fabric, societal fabric, and this country's fabric. We start over with us. When we finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray and believe. Amen and amen. Asante. As usual, I request when you join in, please, like, when you like, I get to know that you're watching us, and that you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. When you join in, please like, share, and let us know where you're watching us from. Naambia natazama kutoka wapi. Naona Emmanuel Serem tayari ameshaamka mapema. Good morning, my brother. Good morning to you, bro. Johnson Coach, good morning. Vincent Kipkosgei, Kipruto, karibu, asante sana. Second Vio Nyakio, Ajay Makaveli, good morning chief. Good morning to my brother Bidanderi to Theuri, tuned in, asante. Emmanuel Serem naona ameamsha Cheptap Kibiri Reds na Natasha Meto, amkeni. Johnson Coach anasema tuned in from Britain. Hello guys, asante sana. We'll be talking Muzewe anasema good morning Tackle. Good morning to you all the way from Merewed. Rogers Kigen, good morning. Munga Luto continue. Good morning Team Tackle, tuning in from Convent United Kingdom. Good to be part of this morning's Common Sense edition. Thank you. Asante sana ndugu yangu all the way from Convent United Kingdom. Jakama Senior, good morning. Tackle family, asante. Emmanuel Serem, Donald Serem, Isaac Serem, Alfred Koech Surgeon, Ambassador of Australia. It's good to see you, my brother. Good morning. Umemwisho amka. Victor Kipkosgei Kipruta, good evening. Good evening this morning. Watu wa diaspora wanasema good evening. Naambia good evening. Wale watu ambao kwa area na sisi naambia good morning. Job Asuma, good morning. Good morning to you, bro. Balosi Eric Meja, Seregeia, Likuyani, Kakamega County, unafuatilia show. Asante sana Balosi Eric. Kiblagat Vincent, good morning team live from Athi River. Evan Sarap Serone, good morning. GB watching from Nakuru. Asante. Don Maverick, a very, very good morning from the heart of the capital, President of LSK. As for 2 hours smoking of marijuana, to be legalized is gonna be smoking. Haya tunaanza kesho. Leo tunazungumzia maisha zenu. Tuokoe maisha yenu kwanza. Siasa tunaanza Tuesday. WANDERI, good morning GB Westlands Tunedin. Asante sana Mbui Mwangi, good morning from Voi. Asante Enoch Mutai. Kiton, good morning. Arabi Talk following from Eldoret. Thank you. Kagi Faith all the way from Thika. Good morning. Good morning to you sister. Bro is a works pokod wako ndani. Steven Flamson Tomaga. Tudi from Thika show iko sawa sawa kabisa. Tunasikia speaker Muturi is next on the chopping board. Ala, haya, okay. Charles Patrick, good morning sir. Good morning to you. Good to see you. Lagat Joffrey, good morning following from Eldoret. Asante Don Maverick, good morning and blessed week ahead. Asante MC Kalia chairman when Okusha Kettle Dip. Jambo, good to see you my brother. Good morning. Honorable Tim Skip Bwale, good morning. Kap Kalia Arab Kosgei tuned in from Rainbow Resort Ruiru, tuko pamoja. Asante. Milton Oguti, good morning. Tatako watching from Nairobi hapa Umoja. Asante sana tu Umoja. Good to see you my brother. Josephine White Thiru anasema Duchess of Kiambu tuned in. Asante sana Desi Maritim, mheshimiwa wa Utawala, good morning guys tuned in. Asante Chebojok Tonui, good morning. Mashuki Danieli, good morning. Tackle from Kitengela. Arab Daudi tuned in from Eldoret. Richard Karinguri, good morning. Good work tuned in from Ruiru. Asante sana Fred Kirui, good morning watching from Kericho County. Thank you my brother. Alex Mahera tuned in from Kawa 034 Kitengela. We love you bro, umepotea sana. Nipo, ilikuwa weekend meisha sasa nimerudi. Asante sana. Anthony Kashunga, Dr. Hook watching from Thogodho Kikuyu. Asante sana Daktari Hook from Kikuyu. Patrick Lulu Busia watching. Asante. John Dikiwanaina, good morning tuned in from Nairobi. Fred Okwena, good morning from Kisii. Victor Limo, good morning tuned in from Samoei. Asante sana, huko nilikuwa shule miaka ya kitambo. Kikwageta Tarus tuned in from Kalbui Kapchorwa. Hilary Mengich tuned in from Kitale. Honorable Michael Joseph watching from Ruiru. Anthony Kashungwa, good morning. I'm Dr. Okin Kikuyu. Asante sana Daktari Hook. Elton Jones Pachero, Elton Kipchirchir Mibei Namgoi Kapsabet. Asante. Ambal Mankind Mtara Padus Victor Zaba tuned in from Karen. Asante Honorable Elijah Kashulei Ozil tuned in from Pokot. Peter Kikerich tuned in from Meldoret. Asante sana. Please when you join in, please like. When you like, I get to know that you're watching us. And what you like, please share. When you share, we give someone an opportunity to watch a broadcast. This is a tackle. A tackle begins now. This is a tackle 7th May, 7th June 2021, and the Common Sense edition where you talk about life and money. About Janza kazi waja tuingie kwa daktari kapteni Collins Wanderi atuambie wiki yake ilikuwa vipi. Good morning my brother.
Good morning Bitok. My week was okay. I also had a good weekend. I went to the southern corridor of the Nairobi National Park. And yesterday I had a serious debate with a very young person. A very young lady in around 21, actually going to 21. And she was very concerned about the wildlife. You know, if you are around after the Portland cement, there is an area which is between the Nairobi National Park and the occupied area. That's a bit of Kitengela and a bit of a river. Now that area has animals. There's a lot of wild beasts. There's a lot of zebra, antelopes. There's basically a lot of herbivores there. And the young lady was very concerned that people are continuing to encroach on the grassing area for those animals, those browsers. And I listened to her and I was very impressed because perhaps we are getting somewhere. We have, that's for me was a very big plus that we have a millennial who can see the future, because she believes that people should not be allowed. She told me it is the people who found the animals. So it's the people who should move away for encroaching on the territory that belongs to animals. And I also pointed out to her that we also need development. And we had a good debate and I was very impressed. I always get impressed when I meet young people who want to think about the challenges that face our society at the moment. Because that is one challenge. The human-wildlife conflict in that area cannot be understated. Yes. Of course, also involves now livestock. We have a law, the Livestock Bill, which has been sponsored by the leader of majority in the National Assembly. But before we get into that, perhaps we listen to Madam.
Good morning, Madam KIHIKA.
Good morning.
It's good to see you, Paul. Uko na mafua kidogo.
Nashukuru, asante sana. Please excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold, but
no
I'm
problem.
well.
We'll pray for you.
Thank you. My weekend was well spent. Usually I spend my weekend in the church. Yesterday I didn't manage, but in the afternoon I visited 2 families. Also part of my work to encourage and to build families. So I'm happy this morning talking about families, or we will be talking about families, because that's an issue that is very weighty and very important for me.
You know, it's also your first time with the tackle, so maybe you can introduce yourself. Nani unafanya nini? Wapi?
Good morning,
na kwa nini?
listeners. This is my first time. Thank you very much for having me here at Taco. I'm a trained counselor. I did counseling and psychology, and I've also practiced for quite some time. I also have a side hustle, as is commonly being called these days, where I work as a general manager in a construction firm. And my work there again is people. I live for people, and people are my business.
Watu.
Sayote.
Je, nasema wale watu wanapenda watu na wanasiasa pekee. Kuna watu pia wanapenda watu zaidi.
Ndio, sisi tunapenda zaidi na hakuna kitu tunaitisha kwao, na tutaki kura. Tunapenda tu waishi vizuri.
Sio kina captain.
No, I don't know about captain, but for me,
akikuwa akiingia siasa, aliambiwa ingia siasa, nikamwambia captain usijaribu hata siku moja.
For me is to support them and to help them, like you have said earlier on, for them to tunajali maisha yao. We want them to live a meaningful life, because that's the reason they were created, to be able to enjoy and take dominion in this world that God put all of us.
Wow, that's interesting. Think about dominion. I think a lot of people, we get so timid with life. It's like there's a reason why we work on we work on the earth. Because we have dominion over the earth. But also the time you find that the earth has dominion over us.
Yes.
But I don't say, hii dunia ni ngumu.
Actually, nature is very unforgiving, and we know that. But let's talk about this thing, because I have read many bills and proposed laws in this country. but I haven't found one that is very curious, like the one, the Livestock Bill that was published on the 2nd of June.
Okay.
Now, it requires that anybody who wants to keep bees in their farm, I mean, your farm, not government land, not government forest, not a gazetted forest, you need a license. Sasa means that if you have one beehive, you must register that your land is a piary. That means a place for keeping bees. So you must obtain a license. Then curiously, the same law goes to say that you will be given a prescription. You will be told how to dispose of the honeycombs and the other paraphernalia that now is left when you harvest you harvest the honey. Now, if you don't, dead colonies, honeycombs must be exposed in a manner that the government would prescribe. You know, and you know where I come from. The honeycombs, if they have pupa, for example, they were used for making brew, traditional brew. So they are not even disposed.
Okay.
So that tells you that the kind of what I call the arrogance of privilege of being in parliament, where somebody has no clue whatsoever how bee farming is done, how the honeycombs of dead colonies is disposed, and how even what the farmers go through to even create the colonies. Number two, bees are wild insects. They don't belong to anybody. They were created by God and they belong to God. So why would you want to license me for trying to persuade? Because you actually persuade them to come to your farm.
To stay with you.
Yes, you actually make a hive, then put something sugary so that you can persuade them to come. And then perhaps these guys in parliament, and I would want to imagine Mr. Kimunya, he comes from Nyandarua, where perhaps they should be bee farmers because it's near a forested area. I don't know what wisdom he has, but he should know that bees can get into your hive and live with or without notice. They don't give you notice. They don't respond to human instinct. They cannot be controlled by human beings. They live for any instance. For example, if you keep bees in a hive and then safari ants climb up to where the hive is and eat the pupa, the colony will live. And sometimes the colony, people wonder why colonies live and go and then create a new colony in churches, in schools, and in homes. It's because they are trying to run away from that environment where they have to compete for space with other insects. Okay, so if you're keeping bees, I personally will say yes. I come from a family where bees were kept not as a hobby, but as a source of livelihood. So I know how they are kept. I know how grease is used to make sure that safari ants never go up the trees where the beehives are. But I note a lot of interesting things. The funny thing is that the license is not free, Bitok. It's going to cost the bee farmers money. If the bee farmer is not able to dispose of the honeycomb, the dead colonies, the honeycombs, and the like, then he's liable to fine, or if he keeps bees without a license, he's liable to a fine of $500,000. Now let us ask ourselves what we are talking about. Who keeps bees in this country? We are talking of the lowest segment of our population.
Sure.
In many communities, let's talk about the hunters. Beekeeping was a preserve of the hunters and gatherers. And we go to many communities. Let's start with my own, the Kikuyu. Among the Agikuyu, the people who kept bees and hunters would be called the Adi and the Gumba. Those are the indigenous people the Kikuyus found. And they despised them. And but later on, they also adopted the idea of beekeeping and honey harvesting. Let's go to among your people, the Kalajin.
Yeah.
Who keeps the bees, who are experts in bee farming? It's again the group that is involved in hunting and gathering. We still have the Ogiek in the Mau doing that. Let's go to the Maasai. The Maasai would say the Ntorobo, the Dorobo are the ones who keep there. And the Torobo means they don't have cows. Yeah. It means they were considered the poor of the poorest. Now, that's traditionally, even culturally, that's who are those who are the beekeepers. But today, we have such arrogance in the National Assembly that a leader of majority can introduce a law to control insects, wild insects. We've talked here about the keeping of quails, which again were wild birds. And you know how that ended.
We know very well.
We know very well. And the KWS did not shy away from giving people those temporary permits. It was a loss above a loss. So again, we are facing another situation. We are already bee farming in this country, and the bee as insects is a threat, is almost a threatened species because of the use of chemicals to spray in horticultural farms. At the same time, now we introduce licenses. And then the other curious law, which I think Charity will talk to us about, because she says she comes from a region where people have very small sizes of land. That you can't keep your beehive 30 meters close to a place where there is a home, or where there is the next adjacent land. Now let's go to areas like Gusilad, Moranga, Nyeri, parts of Kirinyaga, where the farm sizes are so, you've got strips of land. I mean, you're simply introducing a law that completely defranchises an entire population of people for no fault of their own, for having strips of land from ever keeping bees. You see, that law actually flies in the face of the Constitution. That law is anti-people. It is anti-business. It is anti-development. And if for example, if I was that magnanimous, in fact, this time I would request our president to intervene and have that bill withdrawn from the National Assembly. It's perhaps the worst and the most thoughtless law that I have seen ever introduced by parliamentary leadership in this country.
All right. That's interesting. Nimeona kuna jamaa hapa amesema each bee will be required to have an Huduma number. I didn't know Jiku from Brexit says hello to Charity KIHIKA. We are happy to see her on the tackle discussing life and sense. Jokaris kumbe alipoteza simu. Jokaris alipoteza. I tuned in from Githurai. I missed the tackle so much. I lost my phone to a lady thief in CBD. I'm now back with full force through with Kamoleka. Asante sana, karibu. Now this show is proudly brought to you by Rexa Roofing. Rexa Roofing products gives you an opportunity to kununua. Unajua wacha kuweka nyumba mabati, captain. Sasa unalala kwa nyumba umeweka mabati, kukinyesha huwezi lala. Kama ni mvua ndio ilikujengea nyumba. So Rexa Roofing inaweza kupata nafasi ya kuweza kutumia the best roofing products, like the shingles. Shingles are very quiet. There's no noise when it's raining. There's no heat in the house.
And you can harvest water.
You can harvest water very well. It's actually giving you gutters as well. Harvesting water. They're doing waterproofing for you. So Rexa Roofing products gives you an all-round solutions. Also, if you don't want to use timber, you get steel products that you can use to, to put up your roof.
Some construction talk.
Yeah.
I can actually tell our viewers and listeners that steel is cheaper than timber. Timber is very expensive, especially when you want to use hardwood. Very expensive.
Kazi ngumu.
No.
Umejaribu shingles, captain. Tukulete kidogo.
Sasa nikibahatika tena kujenga, nitafikiria hiyo maneno.
You can also unroof and roof again.
Sasa pesa hapo ndio
Kizungumkuti.
Basi
that is Rexa Roofing products. That's very proudly supporting today's show on live Common Sense edition, Life and Money, brought to you by Rexa Roofing. Rexa Roofing is a stock is specialized in the construction industry, sells shingles, waterproofing solutions, and also inakupata nafasi ya kuweza kupata harvesting cutters, water harvesting gutters, very beautiful ones. Si kama zile unaekanga mabati kapte unakunja huko kamukunji. Very nice plastics. Yours looks very well, very very beautiful. So we're going to get up the products for you. Probably from as the week proceeds, we'll be able to push the graphics to you. And on Monday again, the show will be brought to you by Rexa Roofing. You'll have more graphics and more products being displayed on the screen, so that you can make the best purchasing decisions. When you invest with a Rexa Roofing material, that is shingles, 50 years guarantee. You kama umaisikia guarantee kama ya mabati mahali pengine. 50 years guarantee that you get on the roofing products.
Unajua mabati pia huwa na chebe za chuma. And ile maji ukiweka pahali kwa muda mrefu utaona pia inapata kutu na kuanza kugeuka rangi.
Sasa what is used to make these natural products, 100% natural, and you get to get the best deals when you get to roof with Rexa Roofing products. The shingles, hakuna kelele kwa nyumba, hakuna joto, and you have a very beautiful roof for 50 good years. Kama kuna miaka 50 zaidi, captain, watoto wako watainherit nyumba waendelee nayo, lakini mabati itakuwa imeanza kutoboka, tafuta lami unaanza kuweka juu. Anyway, thank you so much Rex Roofing for sponsoring this show. We'll get you guys the products, the product list will get you. I'll get you a poster probably on the comment section so that you can be able to check out the products. But I'm also putting in the website. If you want to get any roofing products from Rex Roofing, you'll see the website on the comment section. Alafu uweze kukimbia pale, uanze kupiga negotiation, you get the best deals. When you say you've been referred from the tackle, at least you'll be able to get a discount. Ukipiga pale useme umetumwa na Bitok, unaweza pata discount safi sana. Na usiogope kama unajenga, enda pale. Unajua kuna watu wanafikiria kwamba all these things that we say are very beautiful or expensive. Sometimes they're not. You just go and have a conversation with them. They'll show you the samples. Then you see how best you're able to bring your roof. If you want to see a sample of what they've done, you can walk into the Karen, the Hub Karen Mall. Wakalia roof here, Karen Hub Mall. When in a car, VP, Brookhouse Schools, you're able to get a glimpse and a test of how shingles look like on your roof, so that you know how best to build your house. For 50 years, guarantee on shingles by Rex Roofing. Madam Kika, umesikiaje mambo ya nyuki? Kabla tujaingia kwa mambo ya relationship.
Mambo ya nyuki na in fact I support a captain. I've been very disappointed lately by members of parliament. I think they have abused us, and it's the high time the Kenyan people disabuse themselves from these people. Some of the policies they make are never well thought, and I think, like Captain has said, they are meant for, I don't know whether they are looking for fame or to be able to be seen that one has brought in a motion in parliament or a law. I really don't know. But I feel the leadership of this nation is completely out of touch with the ordinary mwananchi. So I'm in full support of what Captain is saying. I saw that actually on TV, also Citizen TV. They were talking about it, and I'm like, excuse me, what is this again? Every now and then, they are bringing up laws that are completely, I would say, unsustainable, because how does a farmer who owns only a quarter of a land pay 500,000? Where would they get that kind of money from? Unless the government wants to choke, or those people, the policy makers want to chop the citizens from breath itself, to cut them from breathing. I don't know how I can explain this, but I truly support a captain. And I also talked about it in a certain forum, and I said it's the high time these lawmakers would get in touch with the realities of what what people go through on the grassroots.
Okay. All right. Anyway, acha tuingie kwa kazi direct, kwa kazi ya siku. Ile mambo ya ndoa kidogo pale. Now, we've been having a conversation with and it's good you're here today. Because kuna wakati walisema tugeuze chapati. Wanasema chapati iweze pikwa na upande moja. That time they were saying leaning so much on eating on men, on what they should do in marriage, or maybe ilikuwa mesa kama tulikuwa tumelaliwa hapo sana captain. Tulikuwa tumelaliwa, tumekaliwa na ume sana. Akasema tugeuze twende kwa mama.
Sheria kabla ya mwaka 2010 hii katiba mpya, wanaume walikuwa wamelaliwa sana na sheria. Ilikuwa kwamba mali ya mwanaume akioa ni yake na bibi yake. Hata ile alikuja naye, alikuwa nayo kabla ya kuoa huyo bibi. Lakini ya bibi aliyokuja naye na anayopata kwa doa ni yake peke yake. Na hiyo sheria ilikuwa inatokana na sheria tuliyorithi kutoka Ulaya. Ilikuwa inaitwa the Married Women's Property Act of 1897. Hiyo ndio sheria tulikuwa tunatumia. And the law was very hostile to men. And it decreed that what a woman came with in marriage and what she acquired thereafter belonged to her. And what a man had before and what he acquired, if what he had before was then improved during the time of the marriage, the community of marriage, then it became the property of the marriage, and it was divisible into two. It belonged to them. But in 2010 tulipata uhuru. Na uhuru ukakuja kwamba wanaume na wanawake wanatoshana kijinsia. Hivi kwamba wewe ukisema umekuja kwa doa, itabidi uonyeshe moja kwa moja ni nini unacholeta kwa doa ile. Si kwamba unakuja peke yake na nguo zako na saduku. Alafu unasema kwamba kesho yake, sababu sasa umeingia kwa doa, mimi na wewe tunatoshana na mali yako igawiwe nusu. Hapana. Sasa hiyo maneno ilibadilika. Ukikuja pale ukiwa bibi, lazima uonyeshe. You must demonstrate your direct and quantifiable contribution in the property acquired within the community of marriage. And I want to commend the High Court. The High Court in Kisii, Justice Maureen Odero in Mombasa, said it very clearly that the days when a woman sat at home and waited for a man to go hunt and bring the goodies at home are long gone. And this is why there is equality, and the law entrenched equality. And that is why also the Marriage Act in 2014 again introduced similar equality, that you cannot then say, because you are with a man for a period of 10 years and you are just lounging at home and getting clean and wearing nicely, that is contribution. At best, and you've seen, there was a judge who actually gave a woman 1 shilling. It's called nominal value of the property. Because you can't say she will get nothing. She got a nominal value.
Get 1 shilling.
1 shilling.
Okay.
And that is the way to go, because for a long time, the reason why we've had even the culture of slave queening, apart from the slave queen, there is also the slaughter queen. Okay? The reason why we have even slaughter queens who join a man in marriage, and after some time you find him dead, is simply because of the kind of misnomer that was there. So even if a man passes on and you didn't have any contribution, ladies, I'm sorry, you will get nothing. You will get the nominal 1 shilling.
I don't know what Madam KIHIKA has to say about the contribution of men or women in marriage. Who does what? I mean, how do you quantify contribution? What is contribution to you?
I will want first to respond to to the captain and say he's coming from the point of law,
Okay.
the law that is made by men.
Yes.
And men have every right to make laws that work for them or that govern them, like he has said.
Yeah.
However, there is also other laws. There are other laws actually that were even before the law that was made by man.
Before the Constitution came in.
Before the Constitution came, and the law that is actually, for me, it's a superior law, and which calls for, it's a different type of law from where I come from, where honestly a husband and a wife, right from the beginning, they were meant to be complementers or companions. So there was no aspect of who owns what. Initially from the Bible, because I would like to speak from that perspective, yes, because that's where I think I have authority. It comes to the laws of the land.
Yes,
I'm not
authority.
a lawyer. I have no law background. The only law that I have is in mediation, and it's not. It's also it's about peace and people agreeing on how to move on and being able to bring people to a win-win situation. So, responding to him, I would like to say, I think the laws of men can be very difficult to follow, even the very best of them. And therefore, in a marriage situation, I would like to see a marriage or relationships where a man and a wife are coming together for the very, very basic purposes that we were created differently. That is, a man was made to be the head from the laws of God. Now, not the constitution of one from England.
The laws of men.
And not the laws of men. And the woman was supposed to be an equal also, where equality comes in, an equal partner, but a partner who was able to be supportive and to be, in fact, the Bible calls this woman a helpmate that is suitable for him. Therefore, whatever they would get in the period of their marriage or the time they are living together, the foundation of this is first and foremost commitment to one another. Therefore, no one owns, we both own whatever we have, or we bring in our resources together. Whether I'm taking care of a child at home, this is our child. The issue of me being my daughter or my son, or being my husband's son, it doesn't apply, because this child is a product of this union. Therefore, the resources that have been made while these people are together, it equally belongs to both of them, where there is fairness and justice. And this is not the justice of this world, where a woman will get a nominal shilling because she sat at home. Because I would like to ask, I've also listened to some cases where, what did this woman sit at home doing? honestly speaking, I don't see any woman sitting down at home to take a bath, to dress nicely, and to eat from the husband, from at least my own observation. And I'm not saying there are no women who are idle or who are there to get from whatever the husband or the man they are relating with are there. I know they are there. Equally, there are men who are like that. So for me, this is not about women coming to eat or men coming to eat. It's an individual who decides, I'm going to be, the terms he has used in this particular relationship, where I'll be here to get. I mean, how much can you get? So the thing I would like to, for me, the relationship between, let me talk about relationship that has between a man and a woman. The thing that people are looking for and would be looking for, which sometimes, and maybe there he is also, I would support him, is that they are looking for integrity or trust between the two partners. Of course, there is also commitment between the two partners. And there is vulnerability. That vulnerability is there, where a man may earn and the woman is not working, and then they share. So we are all vulnerable, whether I earn so much or my husband earns so much, we share whatever we have. That is where we ought to be. But unfortunately, I'll talk of the modern times we are living in, where the values that probably would have advised us better have been eroded in our societies, because human beings are seen to be progressive. So we came from wearing shukas, now we are wearing suits and all manner of stuff. We came from walking, now we are driving. A husband can buys a car for himself. And this is something I discussed with you. He writes the vehicle, he registers the vehicle in his name.
Captain Collins, Wanderi and Sons.
Yes, and sometimes himself, even forgetting about the son. And so Mrs. Wanderi goes and buys a car with the money also she has earned, because she has earned. And then she writes the name of the logbook or the title of the name of the vehicle into her name, and it becomes an issue. That what is ours, but what belongs to the wife belongs to the wife. I think it's a wrong premise that people are coming from, and I always believe that we can always come back and reason together, and people can live together in harmony, and we can share. For me, it's sharing the me, not the material, but the me, my worthiness as a human being, receiving my husband for who he is, and not for what he has. I think when we add the husband and the money and the cars and the shambas, it changes. The dynamic changes completely. And that's why we are having a lot of problem. I also respect some of the views he has said. We have a lot of problem because we have ceased seeing what relationships were and they were meant to be, to adding a lot of very many other things to make them marriages. Marriages are not made of other things besides the me as the wife and the husband. Then other things will find us.
The additives.
Yes, they are ni chumvi, sugar, unakoroga kidogo ni tamu leo.
Unaongeza ladha. Kesho haiko. Unakunywa duvia.
Kama hakuna gari, unatembea.
Na ndoa bado iko.
Of course.
So Nikolisa, even before we get back to Wanderi, now let me ask you, is also the opposite true? Because you talked about the man. The things are changing today. There are relationships you're finding, or you're finding maybe the woman has a step ahead, or maybe an headway in terms of life. Maybe they started earning earlier, and you're finding, this is a topic also discussed last week with the Captain about men and graduates who are unemployed, and probably somehow in life, women these days get to have an head start over men. It's changing. Now, in a situation where it's the woman who was an headway and is making things happen in the marriage, is it also opposite? Is the opposite also true, that anything that has been contributed by the woman in the marriage is equal even to the man who has not maybe contributed much?
Listening and I'm hearing the word contribution. If this man was in this marriage, has he not contributed?
Okay. So if just being in the marriage is a contribution? Enough?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes.
Nilikuwa nafikiria bocha karibu anaumia lakini ni sawa. Captain.
Yes.
On that.
This issue, Bitok, has actually, and I agree with Mrs. KIHIKA, that it has become very hot, particularly in the relationships between men and women. And it is born out of a bit, ignorance, and the failure to understand what communion in marriage is. Communion in marriage. You know, a lot of people forget that marriage does not extinguish your rights as a human being. It doesn't. You know, and last week, I think we mentioned also the right to privacy in marriage, you know, the disclosures that people make. I think that is what sometimes, I remember we may have, that's the topic where we left it hanging. But let's look at it this way. Marriage in law is considered a new institution.
Okay.
That is why we say before it was Mr. and Miss. Then they come together and become Mr. and Mrs. Now, in Mr. and Mrs., you create a new whole, a new institution. This institution, the requirement is that the man surrenders 50% of his being, and the woman surrenders 50%. So she doesn't lose her, what is called rights in personam, you know, her being. And I agree, because that's why I think it's good to always have a counselor, because she said, me as an individual, you know, that's what the marriage is about. Now remember, the man doesn't lose his being, the woman doesn't lose his being, but they create a new institution. What does the law call it and govern it? It says the communion of marriage. Now, she's better placed because she understands. What is a communion? It means people are sharing. Kuna keki pale, which people share as man and woman, in that state, which ought not even to be shared in any other state. Okay?
Yeah.
And we know the repercussions of it being shared before it is time.
Yeah.
Now, by whatever means people get married, by culture, by going to the AG's office, by going to church, it means that they have agreed to come together in free will, and they've surrendered each 50%. But this same person has their own profession, they have their own other things, they have their own extended families, and the other side too has their extended families. So now this third institution, if you're having a girlfriend or a fiancé, she can't go into a shop and say, tafadhali nipatie unga, sukari, mafuta ya kupika, boga, mzee atalipa jioni. No, that's not allowed.
Yeah.
But in marriage, a wife can pledge the credit of her husband. And equally after 2010, now the man can pledge the credit of his wife. In other words, mama nani huwa anakulipa pesa ya matuda ya boga ya mtoto. Nipatie sababu mimi siko kazi na mama ndiye yako kazi, mama akikuja jioni atalipa. That's the way it should be now after 2010. And this is the way, the tension we are having, because the traditional norms, and some of them based in the region, that they are still working women, highly educated, and let's be serious, and madam, you will bear with me, because I have clients too, and I see who is buying apartments and flats. It's women, and they are buying heavily, because their salary, they can retain 90%, some of them. Others can retain even 100%. Without the knowledge of the man, and they're not telling the men. And I can assure you, I know even one who told me I will not buy the apartments in Nairobi because I don't want my husband to ever discover. So she's buying them in towns outside Nairobi. And now she has two already. You know, she is my client. But I feel sad and I feel mercy for the man, because it means at a certain point in time, even when men grow old, and you've seen it, madam, because you're also in that practice, that when now the man, after toiling, because there is also men who are very arrogant. They say it's the arrogance of masculinity. Staki kusaidiwa na mwanamke. I will toil and make the house, buy the cars, pay fees. Mimi ni mwanaume. What he doesn't realize is that the tensions and the pressures of life hit him earlier. And that is why you find men around their 60s are having lifestyle diseases, they're unable to cope, and then after they stop earning and they have no energy, madam now was also investing somewhere. So now her apartment start making good moolah. And she starts telling the children, you see this man you are calling your father, he now can't take you to Australia. He can't take you to Australia, forgetting that the reason she was able, investment is a function of savings, madam. Investment. Correct. So you must save and then invest. So if you are saving because a man is toiling and paying for every bill, and then you are now later on in life using the savings you made courtesy of him toiling and spending all his fortune on the children, it means you've denied the children something called the fortune, which is supposed to be their heritage, the joint fortune of the third being that was created, the marriage, the communion of marriage. That fortune belongs to the children. And that's why you say the children born in a communion of marriage. And I like to say this because they are children born outside marriage.
Correct.
And those ones suffer. Let's say it plainly. They suffer from the burden of they suffer the burden and the disadvantage of heritage. From the word go. Because they can
as a foundation in itself.
It's a foundation.
Yes.
They don't have the contribution of both parents. But those with the contribution of both parents, if the parents have harmony and know what they are doing, then it is very good. And Bitok, please take this. Some of the things with this show really affect people. I can surprise you that this weekend there is a man who was saying that he will subject his young babies to DNA.
Wow.
But after listening to us here, sense has got him into his head, and he's begun to act the way of men. That please take care of your droppings. And so I'm told this weekend he went to see his children. So we might even have to abandon that route of him taking the babies who are below
Under
6
DNA.
months to DNA. And I had told the lady, we will keep the results so that when they grow up, we can tell them that Papa even denied you.
Wow.
Papa even denied you. I know she will say something about, but let's talk about when people come together, what they gather in marriage. Should be there. That's why you say marriage is a contract of utmost good faith. In Latin we say it's contract uberrima fidei, the utmost good faith. Disclosures. And we talked about there is a difference between secrecy and privacy. Privacy has to do with things that don't affect the status of the marriage. Secrecy on things like what I have described, a lady now investing without the knowledge of her husband, that now is secrecy. And madam, you'll bear with me, unfortunately, that is the norm. Women have chamas, they're contributing every weekend because they have excess liquidity because they are still depending on the men. That's the wrong notion. And what is happening at the end of the day is what is contributing to a lot of family disharmony. And I say this as a practitioner in that area, that what I see is a lot of tension, and the tension has to do with property. And then me also tell you as I finish that in the last 1 year I've handled a number of divorce cases, but the two that I finished very quickly, the lady said that I contributed XYZ for my husband. We did this and this, but at a certain point he decided to get another woman along the way. And I have made a decision because I'm a professional. Listen, madam, the lady said, one told me, because I'm a professional, I've gone out of my way and made my own things, bought my own land, built my house, and I'm now comfortable. I want nothing to do with the properties that we got with him. The only thing I want from him is one, child maintenance, and him to play his paternity role 100%. And the man, after listening to that, was kind enough and he said, well, even if she's not even claiming what is registered with our joint names. And he quickly signed the parental responsibility agreement. It was not then necessary, it became necessary to go to the second suit in a matrimonial dispute, which is called the child maintenance course. That we abandoned. So we only had a divorce one. We did not even go to the third one, which is called the subdivision of matrimonial property. I say this because that is one example of parents. They've agreed that although we are not coping, we will raise our children like mature people. If you met them, you will not imagine. If we ask the man that bring even these documents, we conclude this case. In fact, one of my partners, one of my lawyer colleagues asked me, is this man serious? He's the one bringing papers and he's the one being divorced. But he said, but it's nature. It's nature. Me and Madam are unable to agree. But these are our children. You get? And that is the harmony. Even us. You remember, Madam, even when we are dealing with the family law issues, I'm required as an advocate to even demonstrate that I attempted to even raise the issue of mediation. And reconciliation.
Right. There's something I've just remembered what we left out on disclosures in marriage, and we're discussing an incident where, and there are two things I'd like us to pick up on before we even go further. Now, first one is disclosure, and not to bring in Madam Susan, Madam Charity KIHIKA. Why Jesus? Jina imeenda huko mpaka Nakuru. The name Charity KIHIKA. Now, on the issue of disclosures, we discussed a case where a man wakes up and realizes he's actually been paying rent for their own house. So mama buys the house and tells the husband, now we need to move to a bigger house. And now we need to move to another neighborhood. Trying to make money. They were living maybe in Mombasa Road. Now let's move. Then the guy been paying rent. Apparently the house belongs to the wife. You find that out 2 years down the line. Now, how do you manage this? And when you talk about disclosures, and because people believe there's autonomy, there's a convention of, even especially in modern marriages, people believe that there's an autonomy of human beings in marriage. Like someone would say, my issues as a wife is my own things, or there are no disclosures. The husband would think the same way. There's a big danger in that sense. If you wake up today, if your husband wakes up today, and the house they'll be living in for the last 25 years belongs to you, where do you think is the danger in the failure of disclosure?
Of course, there will be mistrust, very, very bad. Yeah. The husband will feel that the wife has been very, very untruthful, and most probably in many other things. Because if you can buy a house, you stay in it, and then your husband is paying rent for yourselves, the family, I think it would make him very devastated. That is maybe the least I can say. I don't know what else. But it can be a very bad thing, because he will lose faith completely. He will lose faith with you, not only for that, but for many other things. Yeah, that's what I would think.
Okay. All right. Now, where does autonomy end? There's a conversation that was going on the other day, Captain, about, these gadgets these days are becoming very dangerous in married phones. And, I mean, yes, there could be some level of autonomy in terms of, I would not want to get into your things and get to know what you really can do that. There's a discussion on, someone who was saying, and it's a preacher, who was saying that why should you have passcodes on your phone? Your phone is mine, and the other way around. Do you think it's healthy? Because I believe there's also some level of autonomy in terms of emotional management of a human being. Is it okay for people to cross those lines and maybe get into your, maybe if your husband could have your phone and go through it the whole night or a whole week, or say, give me your phone, I go with it the whole week, or your Captain Wanderi would be coming here today without his phone. Almost assume you go up. Where does autonomy end, and where do we draw the lines in terms of as well being open in a relationship? Do you think it's healthy?
I want to say, honestly speaking, I think the dynamics are changing because people are adding into marriage or relationships things that ought not to be there. Okay. I don't see why I would be desperately wanting to have my husband's phone throughout the night to check on what. I really do not see personally. And I think when there is mistrust, because I'm saying relationships are founded on commitment, trust, and vulnerability. And so the issue of autonomy you are asking about is, can my husband put the pin in his phone? I think he should. Yeah. That is his own personal phone. I cannot seem to be managing him who calls you and who does not call you. And this issue of people having those codes also, they emanate from the fact that there is mistrust. Where there is total trust, I am telling you sincerely, and it happens in our time, as much as we think it doesn't happen, people don't worry about those are what we call small foxes, things that are very tiny, but they can actually break the marriage or the relationship. So where there is honesty and trust and there is commitment, people do not honestly need to have those or whatever the code for their phones. However, I'm saying I shouldn't be following after my husband every day and every night to find out who are you calling, who are you not calling. He is working. He's a professional. He is working with both men and women. And again, I'm not a policeman. I think the moment we realize that we should allow people to manage their lives, our spouses, and give them the space and the freedom, then we will not need to be checking on their phone. However, the checking on the phone is being done by people who are insecure. And people also who are having their own problems. Maybe because the husband has not been unfaithful, because I must also say here, And faithfulness in our generation has become the norm. Captain talked about, you call them, I don't know what, I think I'm losing the people who come to eat. We have a lot of
slaughter queens.
The slaughter queens. You can
The
see
slay and slaughter
I'm of an older generation. I don't understand some of these
vocabularies.
vocabularies. Yeah, but they are good because they happen. It's good to hang around with much more younger people because you hear things you're like, what is that? Those slaughter queens are there, and that is what is making younger marriages
slaughtering marriages.
Yeah, they're there. They want the young man because he has a nice car, he has a good job. She wants this particular person or man who belongs to another lady. And this is where I'm wondering, what has become of us? Are we cannibalizing ourselves as women? Are we honestly? Because there are no single men out there that one can take and nurture for themselves, or maybe keep or take care of him the way you like the one that you have seen. So the issue of insecurity is a live thing today. And because people have lost morality, again, also as a community, the moral fabric of the society has gone so low, that it's okay for me to relate with your husband and I know you. Yeah. I know the couple very well, or maybe I'm your friend and your husband is the one that I want to have an illicit, I would call it, or an illicit affair or a relationship that is not good, which is bearing the children Captain Wanderi has talked about, children that are innocent from God because children are given by God, but they will suffer because of the actions of the mother. So for the young women, I want to plead, please. I read a tweet from one of the bishops, and I said, you're taking yourself so low. You know for sure that this person is out for nothing except the money that you are getting. Yeah. At the end of the day, you will need a father for your children. You will need somebody you can grow with. And to come back to Captain, when a woman is investing, the husband is paying rent or is paying mortgage, and I'm being left with 90% of my earnings. I'm putting other secret things by myself.
Side investment.
And he is paying 90%.
He's spending his income on the family.
He is spending his income on me.
Yeah.
I think also that is lack of morality. Yeah. It's the high time we called things as they should be called.
Yes.
If my husband is contributing 100% of the resources that he has on me and my children, I think it's only fair, and it's not too much to ask. It's only fair then for me also to invest in our relationship. Because when it comes to growing, of course, he is not growing when I'm remaining young. Where is this notion that the man will grow old and he's your husband, and you will grow young to enjoy what you're hiding or what you are keeping by yourself? I think that is folly, and I think people need to rethink the purposes of the union that they got into, so that we can always come back. For me, people can always come back and agree. Oh yes, it is possible. I mean, this fear, I've seen couples come together, and I'm not saying mine is the best marriages. I'm not saying it has had no issues. It has had issues, but I have found and now this is self-disclosure, I have found when I'm reasonable and I'm willing to listen to my husband's point of view, it becomes very easy. And 100%, we will resolve that matter and we will be able to move on. So I think people need to understand what they come together for, whether it was marriage or it was someone to take care of you as you invest on your own, so that people can disclose, I would like a marriage, but what is mine, yes, these are prenuptials. Yes. Whatever I will make will be mine. Whatever you make will be yours, so we can share the bed. And that for me would not be a marriage. They would have to get a new name for that kind of a relationship.
Investment.
Yes, maybe investment
emotional circle.
Yes.
Probably.
You know, I'm happy we talk.
I'm trying to the same issue, yes.
Yeah.
We are first on that, and where does autonomy end in marriages? Because we are getting this feeling that they should be all the lines should be closed. I mean, where does autonomy end in marriage?
Let me give you perfect examples. because we have them in our society. And I'm happy she said that what people are now talking about is something that does not, even in the confines of the law, you lose it. Remember we said in this communion, there is a reason why the law, Madam, does not call, Mrs. KIHIKA, the law does not say relationship. The moment you get married, the law calls now that a communion of marriage. And you commune within a community. And that's why that community in law does not produce children. We no longer call them children even in court papers. We say the community, by the communion of the man and woman, produced issues. It issued to society. Children are issues. Because there are some marriages that has not produced any issue because of biological factors or even sickness. Or even accidents. There are people who get married and then get into an accident. They are not able to bear children. This applies to both sides. Now, remember, when you have come together, you have created a third institution. That's what we call the family incorporated. The family incorporated. And the first question, Mrs. KIHIKA, I ask people when they come to me, I even ask them, so you got married, you went to a pastor, listened to a pastor, you went to a counselor, but you never went to a lawyer. That is why then I ask people, so because you didn't go to a lawyer, by the time you married her, she had a SACCO loan. You also had a mortgage loan. You see, both of you are coming into the communion with liabilities. You did not begin with assets. You've come in with liabilities. Now, I want you first to begin to see that those liabilities, as at that point, were acquired before the communion of the marriage. So they ran with the individual who brought them. Because you see, you cannot then go and tell the bank, now I have a husband, please spread this mortgage and this loan to him. Or I have a wife, spread the mortgage. That contract then, because there is a privity of contract, that contract was entered between the wife and the bank, the man and the SACCO. You cannot then bring in that parties. Now, we say by operation of law, the moment a man and a woman marries, what we call their civil status changes. Now, that change of civil status necessitates a change within the way they relate with society. And this is why I have said they can even pledge credit of each other. Now, the reason why the law makes these things happen is because, as I say, the law recognizes that this person has not lost their right to privacy. They have not lost their decisional autonomy. Because if, for example, I am a lawyer, I am married to a doctor or an accountant, she will still make decisions as an accountant. Should I be asking her how she decided for audit for her clients? Should I go into that kind of life? So that I may know, for example, and let me explain to people very easily. For example, I am handling a client who is suing somebody who is her client, who is her audit client. You get Mrs. KIHIKA? So in other words, as a matter of privilege, my spouse has access to information about an adversary of my own client. Should she disclose that to me?
Oh, no.
And you see, when I was raising this debate even in social media, I saw people foolishly, and I call it foolishly, saying that there is nothing to hide. There is a lot to hide because you are not understanding that even in business, a wife can be in a business which requires utmost confidentiality. Our society is looking at it as if it's not sophisticated. There are people who have engaged in discoveries. I have ladies who work in Camry. They are scientists. They are in discovery. They are discovering new products. They are pharmaceutical experts. PhD in pharmacy. So me as a husband, if I was a lawyer, and I know that, for example, there is a disclosure, do I want her to disclose to me the formulas of the people of her company? Do I want that?
Of course
it's
not.
It's not necessary. Equally, you remember I said she came with a loan from a bank.
Yes.
Do I want her to disclose what she agreed with the bank? Does it involve me?
No.
It doesn't involve me. It only involves me the moment now she starts using the resource of the community of marriage to now discount that other loan now, and that becomes a point for disclosure. But if she's continuing to use her pay, it's not. So how do we bring in the harmony here? My first thing I ask those couples is, so you didn't go to a lawyer, so you don't even know how to invest together as a family. Because there is a difference of you investing on your own. There is a difference of the lady investing on her own, the man investing on her own, and then them investing in together. Investing together. Because what is invested together then runs with the family. And if you look, and I will be very honest, and we will be very honest, we have men here who've risen to the high positions of authority. And I want to challenge, let me even use public figures. Before our president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, went into public life and went to contest for the Gatodo seat, even the first time he lost, how many people could tell his wife by face in this country?
Very few.
Very few. Yeah. Because he was not part of his public life. Now, I want you to look. People like Governor Kiraitu Murungi, the Honorable Kiraitu Murungi, they have been in politics for long, from the time he was young tax. How many people had ever seen the face of his wife in public?
In fact, I have never.
Even today, not many people know her, yet she exists. We have His Excellency, our former Vice President, Kalonzo Musyoka. And I'm using these examples to make people understand. A lot of people said Kalonzo has no wife, he has no children. Don't you remember that? That was the story. Because as a lawyer, as a senior lawyer, and I'm panning public life, he understands the things I'm talking about. And the late Mutula Kilonzo capped it all. And he said, family is not for the media. Family is not
for the media.
For the media. That is the right to privacy. The right to privacy. That you want to keep your family affairs private. That not many people knew that even the late Mutula Kilonzo had a first wife. They disagreed, but he raised the children, and you've seen what they've become. Okay? And then he got another one. And people, when they saw Duko, they were saying, oh, there's another wife. Because that part of his family is private. It took a long time. Now we know Lupita Nyong'o, who is more famous than her father and her mother. How many people can recognize Mrs. Nyong'o in public?
I cannot myself.
You get. The governor of Uasin Gishu, the Honorable Madago, I know he is married. How many people can recognize Mrs. Madago in public? And I'm raising these people. And I like Governor Madago because he was among the people advising the young people the other day. I listen to these people be talk. Because I would want, as Mrs. KIHIKA has said, that we talk to the younger people to bring in a society that is orderly and conducive for everybody. He said this, that wewe unashangaa because umeachwa na mrembo yako ya kwanza. Wale watu wanaoana ama tumeoa, hatukuoa huyo wa kwanza. Tuliachwa na tukaoa yule nambari 20. Sasa wewe relax. Tulia. Mrembo mwingine atakuja ama kijana mwingine
acha kujinyonga ama
kujinyonga. And he was advising the youth. And I like those men. Let us even look at the deputy president. How many people knew Mama June even before? Even when he was minister, we didn't know her.
Yeah.
You know that, Madam Charity?
Yeah, it's true.
We didn't know her.
Okay, she comes. We go to the same church. But
yes, but
I knew her as a.
You knew her.
Yeah.
But nobody, other members of the public, did not know her. The former president Mwai Kibaki. Mwai Kibaki. Before he became president, people did not know Lucy Kibaki.
Until she held a press conference.
Yes.
Can you tell the nation you have only one wife?
You know? And you see, these are the pressures we are putting on families.
Yeah.
And this is why I even tell people in social media, when you see Charity be talking social media, we are not keeping our families and our children away from social media because we don't love them. It is because we know the children even have a right to privacy. The families have a right to privacy. Do not make unnecessary disclosures to the public, nor even to your partner. And as I've said, there can be professional disclosures. She counsels people. Madam Charity, people come there in utmost faith and disclose very private things. True. And I know that. Just like you are sworn to secrecy, just like me as a lawyer. And we know that because I also deal with children's officers. And they are also sworn to secrecy. Okay. But we don't disclose these things you don't go even to your spouse or even adult children in the evening useme, leo Bitoka alikuja kwa ofisi yangu, akaniambia alichapwa na mama jana. No, we don't say such things.
Kwa mbona unaangu jamaa bude lakini.
You know,
analimwa nyumbani.
Because we hold those matters private. You get?
Okay.
And this is why I want us to distinguish the right to privacy from secrecy. These men I have quoted are in public life, and I can quote more. We have even successful in the corporate sector. Martin Oduor Otieno, who told you he has no wife? He's been a CEO of a bank, he's chairman of have you seen him disclosing and parading his wife? Very few people knew that the Governor Kidero, when he was in Nairobi, was married to the daughter of the late Tom Mboya. Very few people knew, because that part of his life is private. Is private.
Not a secret, it's private.
It's sacred.
Okay.
It's not a secret, but it's private.
Yeah.
You know, before the Honorable David Maraga became as Chief Justice, had we seen his wife in public? But he was a judge for a long time. Now let me make it even better. Even when he became Chief Justice, we did not see his children. We have seen the Honorable David Maraga's children on the day he exited from the stage. Okay. That is how you bring in family honor. And the reason I'm saying this is because of the group that I call the so-called the socialite families. It's not your business to parade your children in social media. And let me warn even parents here, that is actually an offense. In Europe, if you look at families in Europe, and I want you people to check very carefully on Europeans, they don't post pictures of their children in social media. Because should the child decide to sue you in future, utalipa gharama kubwa sana.
Talipa mtoto wako gharama?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about marriage, and now that you mentioned you've gone into that. Millennials and marriage are like water and oil. What's going on? Millennials are refusing to get married. But KIHIKA, what's going on with millennials?
I would like to think...
People in their 30s, early 30s and late 30s are refusing to get married.
Refusing is probably a tough one. Okay. But I think because people are pursuing career, one of the reasons that I know people are taking longer before they get married is because they are pursuing their careers. Okay. You find people want to, like what Captain said, people are getting into marriages with wealth already. That means they are also delaying marriage so that they can develop their careers or their businesses. However, there is that notion, and I believe also it's true. People are taking longer. Maybe they may be refusing, but also marriages have become very complicated. Like we said in the beginning, there are many issues that people do not understand concerning this union called marriage. The issues of wealth, distribution of wealth, the issues of privacy that we have talked about, and privacy versus secrecy. You know, people want to come, but they want to keep their past to themselves. Yeah. Again, maybe the new person wants to know more about your past. I think there are challenges right now. Probably I would say people should talk even more for me and discuss issues before, so that they don't necessarily have to wait for too long before they get married, if at all they ever want to get married. Because there is also another belief that people are no longer interested in marriage, because you can do almost everything that you think you can be able to do. People are coming into partnerships and they don't want that. They don't want that commitment. Yeah, that commitment where you are accountable to your husband or accountable to your wife. People value their freedom.
They only want entanglements. They call them entanglements.
Yeah, they don't want entanglement.
Entanglements is even riskier. What people are is what you said, the modern polygamy. Yeah. Dedicated partners.
So what's the difference then? What do you think? Because back in the days, I'm sure in your days, it was almost automatic that when someone gets a certain age, they should now be thinking about settling down and getting married and all that. Then what do you think then is the difference between then and now?
I think the culture has changed quite a lot. Okay. And culture, we all know it's not static. So the culture right now it's not really mandatory. Again, also the marriage institution was held much more in esteem. There was a value in it. Today, you can be promoted, you can make a lot of money as a single person, and you're still accepted by the community. Before then, I think it was a little hard. People would wonder, how come this woman has so much money? But mostly for me, I think is the culture that has changed, where now marriage is no longer
the perception of marriage.
Yeah, the perception of marriage.
So what do you want to tell millennials on that? Because now there's a perception that probably then, if we let it thrive, then the chances also of losing generations is very possible. Correct. Because people are saying, it's fine, I can stay alone, I can live alone, if I can cook, or maybe I can buy kangumu on the road, and I maisha inasonga. Now, there's a perception that millennials are having on marriage. What did you tell them? What do you want to say about the millennials, the perception of marriage and millennials? And do you think it's something that they should do? Should they get married? And why?
I would encourage people to get married. And I would put a caveat. Marriage, like all other relationships, has their own issues that people will have to grapple with while they are there. But bottom line, people should get married and live together as partners, work out their marriages, and it can work and they will work. We shouldn't be afraid. The young people should not be afraid that if I get married, maybe I'll lose my freedom, or probably I'll be nitakaliwa. Hiyo kitu ya kukaliwa, you can also discuss and maybe discuss before, you know, and let the person know what kind of a person you are. Discuss about what you would like to do. If you are these people who like to travel everywhere, let the partner know that you are an outdoor person, or maybe take some time to relate so that you can understand each other's personality, characters, so that you can be able to live together.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would encourage people to get married. First and foremost, like you've said, we will lose generations. Yeah, if people don't get married and have children and bring them together. And if I may go to the biblical perspective, in fact, the Bible will tell you that it is good for men and women to marry so that they can have godly children. I'm not remembering that particular scripture, but it is there. It says it's good so that when you get married, you can have godly children. And I'm not saying other children are not godly, but you're able to bring them with certain values that are embedded within a communion of marriage, so to call it.
Okay. Captain, what do you think? What's separating millennials from marriage?
I think
Who build a wall of Jericho?
I think Madam Charity has said something, that people are coming into marriage with the wrong notion. Secondly, the pressures of life. And I have tried, because I have talked to a few people, especially the religious leaders who are my friends, and told them that we are so focused on the religious side of advising young people when they get into relationships, and we forget the mechanics, what we call the social engineering. And the social engineering has to do with what Madam Charity practices and what I practice. Because the realities of life are such that a marriage without anything, we say there is an empty nest. An empty nest is a marriage without children. It can also be an empty nest because there is no joint investment. In fact, the first thing I challenge couples is that if you want to live together, they are what you call the ties. You know, when we say ties that bite, okay, there is what you call the legacy of the institution. If you ask many people who are married, what is the legacy of the institution of their marriage? They will show you nothing. They will only tell you children. No, children are not the legacy. Children, in fact, are the hostages of that legacy or fortune. Now, let us look at some couples. There are couples who've made it big in this country. The people we've talked about, even the people we are mentioning, you will realize that they've been married for long. You will realize that the people who've made it big in this country and who've really made it big in politics, in the corporate world, have very stable families.
Correct.
Okay? And this is what a lot of people don't realize. And I will say it openly because I know some men who you cannot sue, Madam Charity. Because it's almost impossible to sue them because they own nothing. In other words, these men, you cannot find anything in their name.
Yeah.
You get?
Yeah.
You see, because there was an agreement and they are properly advised. They are properly
Advised.
and we know how to advise them. That there is what is called the shift of danger, or the shift of risk. The shift of risk. If I get into politics, you know, politics is such that you can lose everything. Because you lose an election, you are sued for recovery, and you lose everything. Now, so those men have what is called, they have shifted the risk. They have shifted the risk. Either to adult children, and I know a man who told me that I waited until my firstborn son was now mature and with an ID, and I could register holding companies together with him and my lawyer, okay? And then those holding companies can hold my assets and the others are held by Madam. And then he said, for those I know that Madam can be reached because we acquired together, we have to tweak them so that him, if you find him, He told me that if you want to find anything in my name, even a car, the car I drive, you can't fight. And he's a politician who is risen to the level of a cabinet minister. Now you understand why we need to talk to these new people, because they fear. Because all they see, and actually I'll be very honest, most of the divorce petitions that I have dealt with deal with people who are in their early 30s, who were born after 1985. Some even got married 2-3 years ago. Even before 3 years are over, you have even to apply for leave to be allowed to divorce before 3 years. It's that bad. Because to them, the notion they've come in, and I want to say this because there is a man who came and told me that I'm having difficulty. I love this lady. I want to stay with her. But she has told me that you married me right from college. And I got a degree when I was pregnant. I had not even finished. I graduated with your baby in my belly. And after that, I started working. I've never enjoyed life. I've never enjoyed life. Now our baby is 3 years and I can leave him. And now you want me to go back to master's class. I will not, because I also need time to breathe. So I want time off, and I'm actually resigning. You get? Yeah. This is a wife telling a man. And she resigned, and he agreed. And so 1 year, she actually didn't, he told her, look, because I also want you to finish it quickly. Let's spend the family resources. Go to SA, South Africa. Quickly, with 1 year, 2 months, she was back with her master's degree. I won't say her profession, because some people might know part-time, even as a lecturer. She's a very bright lady. Then got into the family and got another baby. After that, she told the husband that, look, I now have 2 children. I am finding this life of marriage very boring. I want to go out, hang out with my age mates. You see, our age difference is over 10 years. So it's like you still thinking like those old mzee. So I want to go and hang out. And that was a disagreement. And so the man told me, I don't know what to do, because now she has actually told me that she wants her freedom. And I can have the children if I want, or she can stay with them, and I am free to visit them as I wish. But she doesn't believe that she is going to be tied with one man. That's one thing she said. She wants to have experiment and sample life. Now, you can see the dilemma the young generation are having. Because we said, they are watching so many Alejandro and La Mujer de mi Vida. Those are fantasies. Those are fantasies. Madam, I think you know better than me. They are fantasies. That's not real life. They are action. People are acting. Real life is not like that.
Vitu kwa ground tofauti.
Yes, vitu kwa ground is not like somebody is having horses, going for rides, going for tours, Another man has told me recently that he's in the US, and the wife has told him that she is so religious that every year she must have a visit to the Western Wall in Israel. And he said, I am unable to cope because it is depleting. It's like I'm working to pay credit cards to fund her trips, and because the family now cannot move. She said, after the house, I am a worshipper, I need to go to this. Madam, take us home, because you understand those things a bit better.
Even as we go to that, there's a rising trend that's coming up, and we are seeing 2 trends. One is a trend that's coming up very new. That's one that's a very new trend. And the second one is a return of an old trend. So first of all, there's a new trend that's coming up that I want to really hammer it fast before you go to what even is coming back. Now, these 2 trends are one. Polygamy is coming back. We're seeing modern polygamy, where now Captain is saying dedicated partnership. You're seeing that a picture the other day saying he was a dedicated partner too. Someone
not one, not 2,
to these 3 or 4 whatever dedicated partners. Now that's coming. Polygamy, modern polygamy is coming. Now there's another very new trend that's coming, and almost I feel it's dangerous for me. I don't know. I don't have the monopoly of opinion. Polyandry. It's called what? Polyandry.
Yes.
A woman having 2 husbands. And it started off in South Africa. I think it's a trend that is the fad. With the millennials, they love fads. They love trends. They love being in part of this new psyches and all that. First of all, let's start with you, madam. You, 2 husbands.
Actually, polyandry is practiced a lot in India, not even South Africa.
Okay.
And it's acceptable there by those who practice it. And I think there is no law against it In South Africa, a little bit, I think they have borrowed from India, or we are in a global village. It's cultural.
Yes, even southern Mozambique. and a bit
Southern
of
Mozambique
Botswana.
and all
Yes.
that is cultural and all that. But I will say, without any fear or shame, that it is immoral, and this is my opinion, but it is also an opinion from its godly statement. That is immoral as far as I'm concerned. And it negates the purposes of marriage to your spouse, because now it stops being a union as it was intended. It becomes now a community business. It stops being a marriage as we know it, and as I know it myself from the biblical perspective, and from also, I don't understand why I would need to have two husbands. Okay, if it's a culture, it's up to them, but I feel sad if this thing would get or catch up with us here in this country. It would spell doom. Let me say about South Africa and the issues of HIV and AIDS. It's the highest, I think, in Africa.
Yes.
And it's because of those beliefs and behaviors, I may call them, that has contributed to the highest number of HIV and AIDS, and they continue. So when people's values have been compromised that much, because I would call it a compromising of their values, then of course there are consequences. And I will say here that people will have to bear their consequences. And I feel it's immoral, it's ungodly. It's ungodly, for me.
That's ungodly.
And it's unacceptable.
What
And I
about-
pray it does not
It does
get
not get
into
here.
our country.
Like
I know
COVID.
there are those things people say they are having threesome. I have heard that from the young people. Even that is wrong. It's, I don't know. My heart breaks for such kind of behavior, because I know at the end of the day, people are looking for fantasies. They are looking for what they regard as fun, the younger people. But at the end of the day, they will have to pay for their consequences. And because we are not here I don't have a moral meter to measure the people's morality, the way they should live and all that. But I should be able to stand for what I believe is a truth, that is wrong, it is immoral, and it's a dangerous trend they are getting
That should not
themselves.
get here.
Yes, that they are getting themselves into, and they will also suffer from the consequences of those behaviors.
Okay. What about the rise of polygamy? The return of the polygamy.
Those are cultural things that people are trying to get back into. Personally, I don't believe in them. I would not even practice them. But again, who am I to dictate what people will do in their lives? I can only sound a warning and say they will still also have to suffer from the consequences of those kind of lifestyles that people are getting into.
Okay.
Mrs. KIHIKA, let me ask you a question here on that issue of the modern trend of polygamy.
Yeah.
We have got a lot of children, and you know where we come from. We now have 70%. We're actually talking of 70%, and some places over, of children born. Some of them, the argument is they have no fathers, which I call a fallacy, because there's no human being who came in this world
Yeah.
without a father.
Only Jesus.
Yes. The mother has a full knowledge of the source of her biological material. She used to make the baby. If she was so promiscuous as not to even know in those threesomes and foursomes, then at least she has an idea. She can ask the child to subject all those men to a DNA test. Now technology is there. But let's look at it this way. You say the notions of marriage have changed, and I believe they've changed. And wealth, money, and power have become the defining ideals of success. I'm sorry to say this, but that's the position we are in. Okay. Wealth, money, and power. And when I was an officer in the armed forces, we used to say war, wine, and women. War, wine, and women. You see, you remember those are three W's. Then we say for the civilians, it is money, women, and power. The O and E vowels. O and E vowels. Now, I want you to get women. I don't want to call them the slaughter queens or lazy, but there are women who've determined. And I think we had a mention here where a woman in some radio show in another program, which we will not mention because we are not advertising for them, said that I got married, got babies with the man. He was poor. We struggled so much. But me, I know I am beautiful. Now I am okay. I'm settled. The next man I am going to get, he has to have mullah. That's the word she used. She said he has to have mullah. Now, you know, there are those who are born with the what is called the advantage of privilege. The advantage of privilege of history. That their fathers or their parents have money. Yes. Others are born with biological privilege of being very bright. So they're able to make money very quickly. And we know that. There are those who are even good comedians. They've made money in this country. And there are women who say, I want that guy. And I want to be honest, Mrs. KIHIKA. There are women who've told me that I love you. And I ask them, how do you love me and you've not met me? In social media.
Of course, it happens.
So they write to me and they say, I love you. And I asked one last week, do you have a boyfriend? She said, yes. I said, listen, you look very young. You have a boyfriend, yes. So you don't love him. She said, I love him too. But how can you love me and you don't know me? Of course, with this week, she was asking me for some fund. And she said, I told her, but you have a young friend. She said, he doesn't have money, he's in school. I said, please, wouldn't you wait for him to get some, to start earning? And then you start having other demands. Now, I am getting into that. You see, if in my capacity, I decided to home or to house that girl who is just out of college, you know I can. I have the capacity and the ability. I can actually pay rent for her. I can actually even pay fees. Okay? And she will live good life, I can assure you, at my cost. And this is some of the things we are seeing. And these so-called barons, first, the women have said, if it is getting intimate with people, yes, I would rather than get it for a benefit. You're seeing the notion that they are now saying that this relationship which we get with young men, where they tell me they love me, is okay. But the same young girls are asking, tutakula hiyo mapenzi. Mapenzi italipa stima, itanunua nguo. Then they say, afadhali mimi nicheke kwa nilie kwa Mercedes, nisicheke kwa bicycle. That's the notion we are having.
Which is dangerous.
Yeah, which is now...
But it's also an encourage of lethargy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see now, and you can see, because this is what the whole idea, and we are avoiding to say, the word diasponyo, sponsor. The word? Sponsor. If I were to tell you the number of times I have been asked, ni sponsor. That word alone. And one time I had to put it in social media and say that Mimi, I don't do such things. I don't do such
You don't
things.
sponsor.
I don't sponsor. Not that I don't have the capacity. I can sponsor and make sure you will not pay rent. Even if you get children, I will look after them. In fact, Charity will be shocked. I have a friend, and we were discussing this with Bitok the other day here in the show. A man, I told you, he has now 14 children from 3 wives. And he said, if you don't have money, and he will ask, ni mbegu ama ni pesa huna if you have 2 children. That's the way he asks.
Wow, okay.
And he's a billionaire. He's made it. Okay? And he said his wife, I don't want to use the words he used because in mother tongue they don't look very good. But he said, I am working hard and you are only getting me 3 babies. Now there is nobody in our current home. Me, I'm very idle and very bored. And I'm in my early 50s. What do you want me to do? Watoto wameenda ngambo kusoma. Mama hapa ana shida kwa kanisa. Ameingia kwa chama ya kanisa, so ana shida huko. So, you know, then he said, I got so bored that he also went out.
He decided to be moral.
And I told you when the first time he was able to get twins, then 1. So that second lady got him 5 children. You see, that already makes 8. Then there is another one who came in and got more. And he says, hakuna mtu anakula kwa mwingine, kila mtu wako na nyumba yake, mimi nabadilisha gari kila ya mtu ikizeeka. So he says that even in developed societies, it is men who have resources who make more children. Not like in Africa, where it is those with less resources
who make more children.
And now that is a trend which is seeping not to our young men, because this thing is being done to the disadvantage of the boy child, the young boy child. Okay. It is to the advantage of the girls, because the girls have realized
they can rape
easily. And one man also told me the other day, ukienda pale Roysabu ukielekea huko, he said you had a T-mall, he said TRM hapo Thika Road Mall, he said angalia around saa 7 utakuta warebo wazuri sana wanaishi area hiyo. They don't work, they are very beautiful, but they have small children, but they are always in the mall. He told me, wewe unafikiri nani analisha wao? That's what the man told me. He asked me on a weekday, he told me, unafikiri nani analisha? Wow. And that's what he asked me. And I know the gentleman lives in the leafy suburbs of Nairobi. And so he is saying that these girls are willing to actually to go to take that trade. Okay. Madam Charity, it is not very good.
Something there.
Please.
I find it very unfortunate, Captain Wanderi. Those men are taking advantage of those young girls. Nothing short of that. And actually they are abusing them. They have made them into factories of manufacturing children just because they can give them money. I said in the beginning, and I will say it again, money is not the only important thing in this life. There are very many other important things that we need as human beings. We need food, we need shelter. And don't tell me that for us to be sheltered, we need money from an old man, 55 years, and I'm 26 years or I'm 23. They are literally abusing them. That is what I can call taking advantage of the vulnerable. And it is immoral, and it will catch up with the girls, not the men mainly, but actually it will catch up with the girl, because this girl is 22. Yeah. This girl needs to get a boyfriend or a husband of 25 to 30 years, so that when she is 30 and 40, she is stable and she has a home and she's managing her family. These girls are being left with those children. That man, unfortunately, for whatever reason, the lifespan of men is shorter than that of women. Even if they have money, I don't see very many, because they're very exposed. And even that philandering, moving around, impregnate, even by the way, having multiple sexes with many women, a medical doctor will tell you is very unhealthy. They will in the process pick diseases. Yeah. That is a fact, because these young girls are having men also of their age who are who is this 26? Who is having a 56-year-old man once a month to manufacture these children, so that the man can be proud that I am wealthy, I'm making money, I have a slave queen somewhere in Timor or wherever they want to keep them. Who is this young girl who is going to wait for you for a month? The biology is working. She too need, by the way, I should say, sex is a basic necessity. Yes, where the body itself requires to have sex. A 23-year-old and a 56-year-old, their sexual capabilities is totally different. This girl is hot. The man is tired. And unfortunately, he's tired and cold and used. And he is coming to pretend or to use you, to abuse you so that he can have children. Girls, please wake up. You can take the money if you want, and I also don't have advocate for this, but do not allow yourselves to be factories to produce children who the people are calling fatherless. There is not a single child without a father, like Captain has said. And these fathers cannot even be seen with these children in the malls.
Because they look like grandparents.
Because they look like, actually they are grandparents. So they will
only bring them out at night.
They only bring them out. In fact, another girl said in one of these, I'm liking these TV channels. There are so many these days. There is one also I like to watch, and I will not mention because I'm not here to advertise them. But I like some of the statements I hear. A young girl said, I was 23. This man was 50. And I thought I had made a very big mistake. Yeah. Because even with the child that I got with this man, ananificha huko juu, hataki kuonekana na mtoto. Even I beg him, please let the baby take a photo with you. The man does not agree.
Yes.
Nasema wachana na hiyo maneno.
You know,
ate hapana, atuache kupiga hiyo picha. Wachana na hiyo.
Charity.
Why?
That is now on the vertical side. On the vertical,
side.
Because you know, on the vertical side, the man is at a higher
Level, of course.
Let's go to the horizontal side. The horizontal side. And let me shock you that I know men, okay, very wealthy, but the people they are married to, you not imagine. Why would a medical doctor with a practice want to be a third wife? Why would a lawyer with a thriving practice want to be wife number 2?
No.
You get?
Maybe I will say these are the prophecies, the biblical prophecies that are coming to fulfillment, because they must come to fulfillment. That one man, 7 women will come to one man and say, at least niitanwe tu nipate jina yako. Me, I don't want. That's it. These are prophecies that are being fulfilled, and woe unto you whose prophecies are being fulfilled through you. Like Judas Iscariot, who crucified, Jesus had to die, but unfortunately, it didn't have to be me. It had to be Judas, and Judas paid for the consequences. He paid for his sins of betraying Jesus. The prophecy was fulfilled through him. So woe unto any woman whose prophecy, who God's prophecy is being fulfilled through you. It's very unfortunate. Please do not let God fulfill his prophecies with you. Let him fulfill with
negative
others.
prophecies.
Yes.
Ya kuzaa Yesu ni sawa. Lakini ya sarakasi.
Hiyo hata iliisha. Lakini hii ingine ya sarakasi ati I have my law firm, I can have you can have me as your third, fourth wife. That is fulfilling a prophecy, and it's not a good thing. There is no pride in that.
Okay.
This is our man. I heard somebody say this is a village, a community husband. That is what you really are, a community husband. And if you're proud being a community husband, that's up to you. But from where I sit, it is negative. It's not even right. I think people should be able to be proud of the lifestyles. If it was so good, let them walk in the light. Let them put there is a man I saw somewhere in this county of okay, I can say it was in public, in Meru. He had, I think, 40-something wives,
and his father had over 100.
And he is priding them. I think if really that's the lifestyle that you want, make it open and feel free, have the freedom and enjoy. But iyo kando kujificha no.
Or you become like my engineer Fred. You know, my engineer Fred doesn't hide. The one who asks people. He says openly that.
I think that is better.
Yes, he says openly. His first wife was very depressed when she learned of it, and her first idea was to attack the young girls. Okay,
unfortunately.
And later on, I think she was cancelled and told, now the worst thing you can do is wish. She was told your children are now adults. Yeah. You can choose to take him through a divorce process. And the man said, I have no problem. In fact, I just leave her in Karen.
Okay. All right. Let's see the comments. All the comments on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Jay, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. June Jagasama, Slaughter Queen. Good one, Captain. Captain Chris Kamau says, morning, Bitok enjoying the show. Thank you so much. EK, good show. Bitok watching your live from Calgary. Thank you so much, EK. Irene Wanjiku says, good point by CK. Your spouse is not a policewoman or a policeman. Asante. Benjamin Lisi, following the discussion, say hi to Madam Charity. I know. Okay. I don't even know Benjamin Lisi.
I do.
Asante James Kithinji anasema asante Captain, we once worked together. You worked with James Kithinji.
Yes.
Kwa YouTube. King of Samuda, good morning. Good morning to you, King. Chris Kamau, question Bitok. When the woman asked for divorce, both our house fully paid off, the house is on both names or the couple. What happens to the house?
Yeah, you see, that's a property acquired within marriage. In a property acquired within marriage, within the community of marriage, that property belongs squarely to both of them. And if it is in the both names of the couples, the best way, particularly what I advise for my clients is, if, for example, you are a man and you see you are also required to maintain your children, what I have advised most men is leave that house to the wife, and you see there will be the cost. Instead of selling the house, for example, I had an unfortunate one which I'll mention because people should learn. Now get this house because that's where the children grew up. If it's the family home, let the children continue staying there and growing up in that environment, because that's where they have neighbors. That's where. And I have told men, please be the one to move away. This house could be worth 10, 15, 20 million. Sit down and we can sit and we make those meetings happen and discuss and say, if the man's contribution was going to be this for maintenance, then instead of him buying out or the woman buying him out the share of the home, then why can't we agree to the extent that the children can be taken care of, that if he was supposed to pay, let's say 60,000 per month, maybe now he will have to pay 30, so that the rest of the money goes to be discounting and then you look at the age of the children, because a man has a right and a child has a right to be maintained by law up until the 18th birthday. After the 18th birthday, the maintenance there, and we've spoken about it, is conditional. If you decide to smoke bang, to drink alcohol, to fight with your parents, after 18, I'm sorry. The law says unakanyaga frame na unaenda. But we always advise the men that if it's the family home, you can live. If you are not living there, both of you, then that is not the family home. Okay. Then the best thing is to agree on how you dispose of the property, and then you share.
In an event where there is no children, what happens?
If there are no children, you definitely have to share.
Okay.
Yes.
So
or one of the partners then says, I buy out the other one. Okay. And that should be the reasonable thing. But unfortunately, people get very emotional over this thing. And that's why I've said in the last year, I've been able to talk to people and I've seen them. Even the ladies who are saying, siwezi mwachia hiyo nyumba, hawezi leta bibi mwingine. I usually tell the lady, but you're already accusing him of adultery in the petition. So that means he's already had the same thing elsewhere. So doing it there, he says, no, hiyo ni nyumba yetu. I tell her, no. The choice are too drastic. If we go to the court with 2 petitions for divorce and another one for matrimonial property, the whole thing becomes messy. Okay. So the best thing is to have it in mind that, okay, we can discuss, we can agree, and once we agree, then let's see how we can discount the property. And you remember, we also talked about the late Governor Gachagua, okay, who comes from Charity's backyard. Yes. And Governor Gachagua left his wives only with houses where they stay. The rest of the property was to be liquidated and divided. And the beauty of the will, the wives were not getting any of the divisions of the property because they are adults. The children were getting the property. Okay. Plus his other dependents. And the man was so generous that I even saw, even children, young children of his half brothers and half sisters, at least hakuna mtu hakupata kamilioni yake. Yes. So every person born of the Derito family, whether he was a direct of the brother of the late governor, half brother, half sister, every child got something. That is now magnanimity at heart. Okay. Because he believed he was not working on his own. And remember, he was also a polygamous man. Okay. And Charity, I want to say this because I forgot to say it. Most of the men who engage in polygamy, even modern, by the way, are very generous. Most men who are mean cannot. I say that because I saw it with one of my relatives. And all he would do in the village is buy land, 5 acres. Akuna bibi yako na less than 5. 5 acres, put a very good house, put good things, put workers, then marry. So that if you went to the village and you are told that is a home of so-and-so, 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 first, the homes look the same. They have the same facilities. So the women were all starting at the same footing. Okay. A modern man who does not believe in spending his money on that will not spend it. A modern man who would rather drive a noisy Subaru and a big car will not engage in that. Okay. Trust me. All right. So if you have a house, if you are married and you have children, the choice would be the man to move out and leave the children as home. More preferable. Yes, it's the prudent thing to do. That's for Grace Kamau. And if you guys are just a couple, you can decide to buy each other out. Yes. The person can say, okay, I'm going to buy you out, would you agree on the best way moving forward? So that's it for you, Grace. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that also.
I think I would agree. If you have a property, you have children, particularly younger children, it's only fair for the man to leave and let the wife.
And let the children continue. Right. Denon Joga says, thanks Charity KIHIKA for saying the truth, that young girls are going for sponsors is immoral and sad. Okay. Patrick Renison, what a great conversation, great insight on what is happening in the world today. Asante sana. Na wacha nikimbia Facebook. Facebook ndio kuna mambo sana. Acha tuongee hapo na acha niangalie nani hapa. Let me see. Okay. Mika Langat says, blessings to have a colleague in the field. Where are the likes of psychological counseling? I want to know if you two want to become a licensed professional counselor, because I'm an admission rep at Kenya Institute of Professional Counseling. That is Mika Langat. James Machakabut says, Collins is our FB elder. Okay, as a Kongi Blagat, husband and wife should pull together, and they ought to exercise high standards of transparency, especially when it comes to valuables. Well, I still believe that marriage is like any other contract. There are conditions and requirements that keep that relation intact. When any one of them disobeys or breaches the conditions upon which the relationship was built, then there are ramifications. If the relationship is very untamable, then the common road should fork out and have the two go their own ways and seek what is better for each one of them elsewhere. Okay. Rebecca Karoke says, good morning, watching from Naivasha. Thank you so much, Rebecca Karoke. I'm seeing Brian Agjan says, wow, at least I'm gaining knowledge. Thank you so much. Pauline Cherop, I can see you. Sakonki Blagat, polyandry becoming legal in South Africa. What is your take on it? What about polyamory of Will Smith's daughter? I think we've somehow looked into that. Koecho Monde says, let the man marry another wife. Viva polygamy. I think it was the guy who was saying, the wife was saying she wants to experiment. I think she's bored at home. So Koecho Monde is ambassador of polygamy. Saying, let the man marry another wife. Wow. Okay. Evans Gidai, at experiment with other men, not in my house. That's why polygamy is allowed, both my culture and the constitution. Oh, interesting. Koecho Monde says, polyandry is not African. The only legal African thing is a man having multiple wives, but not a woman having multiple men. Imagine if all those men give that woman children. Are those children siblings or cousins? Okay. Richard Kianguri says, Dr. Mwambi Mbui, once in a while, be catching with this podcast. Thank you so much, Richard Karinguri, for recommending this podcast to other people. Abbas Njuguri says, polygamy is okay, considering the ratio of men to women in the world. Don't be the one who will fulfill the prophecy. Lavid Robert says, great moves right there. Thank you so much, Lavid. Richard Karinguri, Phyllis Muturi, that's a recommendation again to Phyllis Muturi. Thank you so much, Richard Karinguri, for the recommendation. Sakonki Blagat, just for the sake of clarification, polygamy is a general term used for both polygamy, a man having more than one wife, and a polyandry, a man having more than one. It should be a woman having more than one husband. I think he got it wrong. So Konki Blaga says typos. Oh man, okay. I've seen the typos. But you're gonna say they always say they better cry in Dubai. Okay, you know what work or my sponsors on daily. Richard Moise says recommendation acknowledged with appreciation. Thank you so much, Mburi. Really good to see you. Ivan Skirai, TRM and the Muba Drive have very bad reputation. Mara Nigerians, Mara sponsors, etc. Abbas Njuguna Sakongi Blaga, those in Kenya don't know about this. They only see photos of the skyscrapers and beautiful beaches, but kwa ground things are very different. Faith Washu, good morning, Gerard team. Good to see you, Faith, and it's a pleasure to have you. Now, this is an article as we're heading to our tail end, and then we fix in the next 7 minutes. Now, I did an article the other day about men retiring. They're saying retirees are extinct in Kenya. They're retiring very desperate people, where they get home and they realize their families have almost moved away from them. Their wives are probably doing better things with their lives, and now they're retiring and they want to rest, and they realize that they're the only people who are resting. For the children out there, and they feel alienated to some extent. Do you think retirees are having it rough? I'll start with you, Captain.
Yeah, for the men, and we hinted that.
Why is it that men are retiring differently?
Yeah. The reason they are retiring differently is because of the normative notions of family life in our country, which are backed by culture and religion. That look, it is that the man is the head of the family, as Charity says, from biblically. Even in traditional culture, the man is the head of the family. He is a warrior. You know, the man has so many roles. He is a carpenter. He is an electrician. He is a mason. You know, he is also the soldier. You know, and he is also the finance. He is actually not the finance manager. He's actually the manufacturer of the money, but he doesn't manage the finances. So what is happening to a lot of men is spending a lot of their time, energy, and the best resources and the best time of their lives trying to make time for their family, or rather to try and create wealth to support the family. And how this is happening is because of the pressures. And this is why I'm saying we need, and I'm happy Charity is here, because we have to win the marriage, the women in marriage, out of the notion that men are the only providers. This is now a union. We have a duty to combine forces. It's not that I should be the one, I need to be the mechanic. I cannot be everything. Even the woman should strive. If I'm the mechanic, please be the technician. If I'm the electrical engineer, be the electrical technician. So it is men who will be told in the house, Baba nani stima ime kwama. So usually it is a man who will go there and get even an electrical shock, trying to fix. The ladies will not. When we know that, this is talk. These are the things we need to change. It is the men who go touching the oils and dangerous chemicals. Kuangalia gari. The ladies will keep off. We need to change these notions in marriage, that we are here in this together. Let's contribute, let's do it together. So that when the man spends all his time doing that, many times men are being forced to be away from home. So they are not when the children are growing up. In fact, they become seasonal. What now men are engaging in is seasonal parenting. Not, Charity, because you are an expert in this. When I was studying family law, I was taught that for you to be fully says you are a parent, you have to be present and involved.
Correct.
Present and involved. If you are not present and involved, then you can be what is called a satellite or a seasonal parent. And this seasonal and satellite parenting, where the family is in Kisumu, the family is in Laikipia, Nyeri, Meru, and you are working in Nairobi or Mombasa. You see, you only go there for some time. You have communion with the wife, and perhaps live having again planted another seed. Then you are told after 3 months, unajua tunagojea mtoto. You get. So children only know papa comes every now and then, okay? And it's risky for the men, because then when you go back home, you find that these young people, they don't know you. They actually don't know you. You've not been there. There is a cure for that, we talk. And I like to say this, and I want parents to listen to me. In primary school, if you find any man or woman, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care how sweet you feel, the day you decide to take children to a boarding school in primary school to show off because you can pay, I don't know, international school, I call it that the idiocy of the rankest order. Because it is at that very formative stage of the child that the child needs to be present with you. After high school, the boy no longer wants to play ball with the father. No, I know that. Even girls, now girls will become closer. They want to be seen with their fathers. But after primary school, the boy now wants to be with teenage friends, not with you. But in that is the time you are pushing him. I mean, I call it fecal parenting, to even imagine that you can take a child of below 7 years or even below 10 years to a boarding school. That's fecal parenting. That's being irresponsible. Because that is the time you need this. You need to bond with the child. You need to know what the child told the teachers. Okay? What the child, you were the one to be checking the report form. When you now take a child of 10 years of primary school to a boarding school, that is actually shirking of parental responsibility. And there is nothing worse. And some of the people, because I've said I have experience also as a board chair in a school, some of the children who went to boarding primary schools, when now they get to high school, okay, some of those boarding primary schools, they were not required to clean their clothes. They were not required. You know, they are in high cost, those boarding schools, primary schools. They are not required to do their cleaning. In Japan, children clean their classes even when they are as young as 6. Now, you have a child who is very entitled. Hajui kuosha guo, akienda high school. Hajui kuosha darasa. Hajui kuosha pahali ya kulala, dormitory. And then you take her to a public boarding secondary school, they are very problematic. And on several cases, I won't disclose, but I know at least 4 times we had parents with that arrogance. And one of them said he's an engineer and we are keeping him very, wasting his time. And we said, if you brought up your child well, we will not even have convened a full board meeting to discuss your child.
Okay.
And we actually told him, and I told him, Bwana engineer, and now I made a point of telling him the number of people who are sitting on the board meeting, disciplining his child. And we told him, you have only an engineering degree. Now the number of people with masters here are even 5. Now the others have other degrees and diplomas. Others have other their work. And he felt ashamed and embarrassed. And Madam Charity, maybe we did the wrong thing because you are a parent and you cancel them. At that point, we actually give him a letter to transfer his child to any school he wished, because we did not want to spoil the life of the child. Because the problem there, we realized, is not the child. The problem is the parent. So that is also something we need to perhaps be
okay. As I turn it to Charity as we finish, now the case on the house is still coming back. And Grace is saying, please ask if it is 26-year-old living in America. Please, now, the couple are living in America and they have a 26-year-old son.
Yes.
They co-own the house. Yeah. Then, does it still stand on who should vacate and who should what? But
the son, I like the argument there. And I'll be very straight with her. A 26-year-old, you're calling 26-year-old son. That's an adult man who should be having his life. So what are we talking about? Okay. He has nothing to do with the house. Okay. The house is not his. The house can only become his. It can only devolve to him if the parents die. That's number one. So I have had this notion, and Charity, perhaps you will bear with me, because it is the women who think they should continue mothering boys and daughters who are over even 20 going to 30. Yeah. Excuse me? A person who is beyond 21, you have zero responsibility towards that person. That person should have left the mother's and the father's house long time ago at 18. But we say we accept the parental responsibility to the next 3 years for them to finish college. And I say it and I will repeat it. If you are a man or a woman still thinking that your son they say, a man wrote me and he told me I'm very arrogant. And I told him, you are saying that, oh, I have adopted my brother's boy. I said, the boy, and he said 23. I say, you are calling a man a boy. I told him, actually, the problem is you, not the young person. Okay. It is you who is treating an adult as a child. Okay. You must have, if you are a good parent, you must be the parents who raised us. Charity, I left home before I was 19. Yes, and I know my father had prepared me to be a man and to stand on my own. And many of us, including Bitok, did the same. But now we are mothering people who are 30, saying, boy. Excuse me? You're calling them boy, mommy, and daddy? No. Okay. The house belongs to the couple, not to that.
So the mtoto kwanza kwa equation.
Mtoto is not a part of the equation.
So now we refer back to, they decide on what to do with it. Compensation or sell and share.
Yes. The man has zero interest in that house. Okay. They can only have an interest if the parents were dead.
Okay. All right. So, Grace, back to you. They can only share they can decide to compensate each other, maybe buy out, or they sell the property and they share the revenue. Captain Collins Wanderi, a lawyer, an advocate. I'm not an advocate myself, and a parent. Amesema, huyo si mtoto, huyo ni mzee mwenzake. Huyo ni mzee mwenzake wa baba yake. Why are men tiring, lonely and desperate?
I think I like some of the points Captain Wandera has said, and I'll be very brief in why men are retiring broke. When the fabrics of the society break, definitely these are some of the repercussions. Okay. You talked of men being sponsors. You talked of them having, because now they have money, they are energetic, they can have girlfriends and everything as long as they are providing for their family. So the point here, number one, is that they lost their lives long time ago and they didn't realize that. Because had they taken their lives seriously, had they also known that now I'm young and healthy and I have the resources, they would have planned. As a community, we are poor planners, terrible planners. And for most men, I will say, we also as a society, but let me say for most men, the generation of particularly the older generation, the new ones, I'm not very sure, I'm yet to find out. But they have been spending their resources on the wrong priorities. And some of those wrong priorities for me is keeping a concubine, I will call them concubine, or the slave queen.
Slaughter queen.
The slaughter queen, thank you. Yes. Somewhere in, even in Kilimani, at the expense of your retirement.
Yes.
You need to be able to plan. And it is true, the man, even from the cultural perspective, is the warrior, the man is the provider, the man is the actually we are a patriarchal society. Men, even I heard from the Bazes of Mukuru wa Nyagathanga, we are the men and our children live in our properties. We are the ones who own wealth and resources. Our children and our wives are ours. When did we now deviate from that? When did men deviate from knowing that they are the land owners, they are the wealth owners, and their wives are their responsibilities, their children live in their homes? When did we forget that? It's paramount for any man to know that I have money, I am energetic, I can see so many children out of wedlock, and those children are his, and he must take care. Thank God for the Constitution 2010. You make as many children as you want, but please do not lose your retirement. Remember, as you spend your resources, one day you'll never be able to wake up. And one of the reasons why men, and this is something I have discussed a lot with my husband, including last night. And I said, I am getting disturbed. I know so many people of my age. I'm not very old, neither am I young. Actually, I can't sit here to say I'm young. I'm not a young person. Women fear age. I'm 57. Actually, I'm going to 58 years.
Congratulations.
Well.
I thank God.
Yes.
And I'm saying, and we were discussing also with my husband, to answer what the question that Bitok you have asked, and Captain Wanderi has said that men are dying poor because they invested their money in their family, and therefore there's nothing like that, I will tell you for a fact. Because I also know men, very many men in their 80s and 90s, and they are living like kings. Why?
They invested in the family.
They invested in the family. The wife, I have an example of somebody I know, I'll not mention, but a relative who always was at home taking care of the garden, plucking the coffee and the tea, and she was a hardworking mother. She brought up many children, and she always ensured that they told the children, this is your father. In my culture, huyu ni baba yenu, munamuheshimu. Because the wife knew that the husband was spending his person, his energy. I'm using his person because it's his energy, it is his prayer, it is his money. Everything that he had was coming towards to this family. So this man in the process built a strong foundation. For a strong, it cannot be shaken. Whether the children give him food or not, actually he doesn't need anything from the children because he invested well for himself and his wife. And when the children were 18, get out, go and work, you're an adult. And by the way, even the way he brought them up, they knew that at this age, you see, talking within a family will help men to be able to not retire poor. Because if you're investing sincerely in your relationship, you will reap from it.
You'll be ready to stand.
The word of God is true. And also nature is true. You reap what you sow. Utavuna ulichokipanda.
Na mahali ulipanda.
So men are going to die poor. I can tell you that. They will die alone, which is very sad.
It's very sad.
I am not proud saying this. It breaks my heart, but I can guarantee they will die poor, they will be miserable, and they will feel bad, but it is as a result of what they have sown.
Wow.
Kila wamepanda
Ndio watakivuna.
ndio watavuna. Wakipanda vizuri,
Watavuna
I can
vizuri.
tell. Oh, of course, yes.
So men who are retiring in an environment where they feel unwanted is their own engineering. They engineered that.
99%.
They failed to invest in where they'll get back to.
99%. Wow. And I have enough examples. I have visited some of the men. I have spoken to some of the daughters and the sons, some of them who are my age. And this issue you talked about very well, and I think is a good foundation and a talk for another day. Yeah. Where the father is working in Kisumu, the mother is still tilling land in Nyeri. He's working with the government. They are the ones that are notorious in sending men everywhere. And then the wives are left in the village because the salary. Those days it was not much. Yeah. But these days people in the government are paid even better than the private institutions here or sectors. So if you find your wife is in Nyeri and you're working in Kisumu, please come back home. Invest in your family. Invest in yourself, because you will reap what you will sow. But don't invest 3/4 in Kisumu where you will live empty-handed. You leave somebody with a flat or with a shamba or with children.
And you come back to these people.
And you come back to the woman who you spent a whole 1 year only coming in December. You will not, and she will also, which is also not a good thing, but it will happen. Your father, where is our father? Si alienda Kisumu. Ako kazi Kisumu. Kwani anakuja siku gani? Sijui, because even they don't talk. So I would like to encourage men. Please, I like the way you're appealing to women and to everyone. I want to appeal to men. Yeah. Please invest in your family. And remember, one day you will need to eat from your sweat. Yeah. So don't be very generous. Captain, you've said that polygamous men are very generous. Can I say this? And it is the truth. Polygamous men die lonelier than a man with one wife. And that is cultural from where I come from. Because you go to the young woman, she says, go to your wife. You go to the middle one. You become a liability. You become a liability. Ni mgonjwa, wacha bibi mkubwa ampeleke hospitali. That I have seen with my own 2 eyes. The younger wife has no need for you anymore. You have an age difference of 20 years. When you are dying, she is busy also having other affairs because she needs to meet her need if she is not genuinely a Christian. And I don't know whether many 3rd wives and whoever, they come back to religion. But if they do, and they do because they are children of God also, and we all learn our mistakes and we come back. You'll be fortunate if you are a polygamous man, if your wives will take care of you in your old age. Some will, but a majority, utakuwa unarushwa kama mpira. Mpira mani, like a ball. Go to the one you love most. Go to the one you gave more. Go to the one who gave you sons. That is what I have seen. My grandmother told me that. One of my old friends, now he's in his 70s, told me the day he saw his own father with 2 wives and they were kicking him one side. So when this man got unwell, it is the son who took over to take care of the father. So if you have good children, they will take care of you. But
good children that you've taken care of as well.
Good children you have taken care of. They are good because you brought them up.
From what point are they taken care of you?
They are good because of the good that you invested in them. But if there was no good that you invested in them, also expect nothing. And children these days, maybe it's nature. I don't think we are coming out of that culture where children went back to take care of their parents. So men, spend your resources, your wealth wisely. Invest for your future and for the future of your family if you want to leave a legacy.
That's really profound, and that's my take home. Invest in your family because it's them you'll go back to eventually.
I like the fact that today tunapidua chapati because she has more experience. She has said it. We've said it here before. The investment and the saving culture in Kenya is very poor. We are some of the worst savers in the whole world, not even in Africa. We spend all our money on fun. That is why the most serious business you can do in this country is clubs, bars. Because you see, the fantasy of the moment is what is killing our men. And I want to agree with you, Madam Charity, that when it comes to those men who invest nothing in the children, they don't even invest in themselves. They actually invest in image, public image. I want to be seen. Mimi Bitok, I don't want people to see me with a big car. I will drive my small car. I am very comfortable because what I needed is to move from one place
to another.
But I know a certain age will come, and I keep telling people that, and I want to say it, that when that's the training I got because I worked with the United Nations, Madam Charity, and they said when we employ you, that is the very day you start planning your exit.
Exactly.
Because those jobs are not permanent. So they tell you that we've given you a 3-year contract. So from this minute we employ you, we start deducting your money to create some gratuity for you because you will exit. That is one lesson I learned. So even today, I tell young people, if you get 18 and you even start getting gifts from people giving you 1,000, start planning for your retirement. The day you become an adult, you begin planning for your retirement. And it is true. If somebody does not plan for their retirement, I shudder to imagine, and I see the men and I feel sad because I'm a man, that there are men who have to go work after 45 to eat. After 45, you need to go work, kufanya kibarua, physical work to eat. Because you ask this person what they were doing between 18 and 45, those 27 years, they are not short, it's a very long period. And somebody will tell you, EV too, it's very sad. Yet, the first lesson you learn, it is not how much you earn, it is what you do with it.
I believe that.
And men after the age of 45, we are not supposed to be earning and working to eat. We are supposed to be consolidating. Consolidating. And I said, Bitok, for that I charge to train people.
Pick that up again on Monday. It's been a pleasure having you. Again, Sakongi Blaka says, instant gratifications and failure to surmount fleeting lust will finish us men completely. Investing in ourselves is indeed paramount. Thanks, Mama Charity KIHIKA, for the great piece of advice. Mambo ni kuinvest in our families. Yes, invest in your families. Again, hapo kwa sababu hapo ndio utarudi. Faithful should the charity tell the men not to marry second wives a few years before they retire. Alright? Au ndio watakupeleka na rieng. Wanapeleka na mutaratara. Okay, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you, the tacklers who have been with us. And thank you, Rex Roofing, for sponsoring today's show. We have to see you again on Monday on the Common Sense edition. Tackle is you again on Monday, Captain WANDERI. And we want to continue this conversation with you as well, Madam Charity, on Monday, so that we have a continuation of this and give it an harmonious end. It's been a pleasure having you. These are Tackle, and Tackle ends now. Bye-bye and take care. We love you.